First story. My girlfriend, now ex, I guess we're together for 3 years. I recently caught her crossing the line with the guy I once called a friend. My girlfriend asked me to do something on her laptop, so no, I wasn't violating her privacy. Well, on there she gets a message popped up from my friend. I ignored it until 2 more came in, so I opened it. Yo, see why he was blowing her up. Hey sexy, what are you doing? Is he home? For the next 2 hours, I read through them, grab-assing, going back to the beginning of our relationship. Background: she had an ex use nudes against her, so she said never again. 3 months into our relationship, I messaged her and asked what she's up to. She said changing out of my work clothes. I joked I wish I was there, and she sent me a full body shot with her face in it of her in her bra and panties. I was floored and joked, saying you couldn't have waited 60 more seconds and you could have caught her naked. She then sent the same shot, but this time naked. This meant the world to me because it showed she trusted me and this relationship was going somewhere. Well, and scrolling back the same damn day, within hours of send them to me, she sent the same 2 shots to my friend. That one moment erased every bit of love I had for her. I printed out their entire chat log, 3 copies of it in fact. Years of flirting, nudes, videos, and several "is it safe to video call?" I packed everything she owned in garage bags and threw them next to the front door. When she came home, she greeted me with a smile and asked about the bags. I handed her one of the chat logs and she looked like she was about to puke. She started begging, and I told her to not even try. I told her to sit, as I had already called up my buddy, and he was about to be here any minute. He came in and I told her to hand the printouts to him. I think he could tell by the look on her face, but after reading the top line, he knew he was done. I told him to leave my house and he'd get my reaction soon enough. He left and I told her everything she owned was in the bags, load them in her car and get out. She started blubbering and begging. I told her if she said another word I would give the log to her father. She is a total daddy's girl and was always stressing disappointing him. She tried crying as she loaded her stuff in her car for sympathy, but I felt nothing. I still feel nothing. I told her if she tries blaming me or lies to anyone, I'd be too happy to show proof to set the record straight. She went to her parents' house and has not stopped texting me since. Her mom called and asked what happened because my ex wouldn't tell them. I told her flat out 3 years of cheating on me. Her mom started crying, apologized, and asked me if there was any chance of forgiving her. Yeah, right. The highlight of my night was a knock on my door, and it was my ex-friend's mom. He sent mommy over to beg for mercy. Pathetic man-child. She asked for details of why he was freaking out and I tossed her their chat log. She seemed deeply sad after seeing the picture he sent of his AA battery. She basically begged me to not do anything stupid. I told her she had the answers to her questions and it was time for her to leave my house. Now I'm in my apartment working my way through this case of beer, as sleep isn't happening anytime soon. I woke up yesterday with a future wife, good friend, and now I got shit. Second story. I've fantasized about making this post for 3 years now, just to find out if I'm stupid or not for believing her. I could really use your advice. Throw away. I am 30, have been with the same girl, F24, for 4 years. 3 years ago, she did something that I was sure was not okay, that most definitely looked like cheating. But then the way she explained it away was so wild that I actually believed her at the time. Because I thought, no way could someone make something this wild up. But, honestly, deep down, I think I've known for 3 years now that something wasn't right. So I found out one day that she had been talking to one of my friends, but entirely online. For about 2 months, they would call every day. Message, call, video call, you name it. He actually came forward and exposed the whole thing. Showed me proof. Messages, images. The messages were so intense, detailing what they wanted to do to each other in the bedroom. It was so dirty and very, very graphic, how they were in love and cared about each other so much. Seeing those words come from her, but go to someone else? It was one of the most painful things of my life, as I have never been cheated on before. But it got worse. There were images. She sent him photos of her body, the same photos she took for me. And they even did calls, audio calls of them both touching themselves, and even completing together. And they even did video calls, which he shared some images of, where they touched themselves to each other, and she exposed her body to him. So how did she explain this away? She said she couldn't say no, like, as if she were being pressured, or threatened, or she didn't want to upset him, a guy she barely knows, a guy I'm not even that close to. She said she didn't want to upset my friend because that might upset me if I found out, which I get. To a degree, I am also a people pleaser. I also let people walk all over me because I'm afraid to speak up. But if someone asked me to get on a video call with them and show them my exposed body while I'm dating someone else, that doesn't seem in the realm of believability. He was truly convinced they were together, that they were in love. She had been telling him that her and I broke up, so he honestly thought they were a real couple and that I was no longer in the picture. Once he found out that was not the case, from another friend, he came forward to me to let me know. Her excuse for all of this? That she was pretending, that she was telling him what he wanted to hear. But they had pages and pages of stuff. It was thousands and thousands of words, for days and days. It was so detailed. She said she was imagining what she wanted to do with Emmy, that all of this was her pretending that she was talking to me, just to get through it. The loving stuff, the naughty stuff, all of it. She claims it was how she felt about me, but just told him that to basically placate him. Honestly, the scariest part? Even if she is telling the truth, it's scary how she is able to even do that. Even if it was all out of IDK, duress, fear, fully convincing a dude that you love him and that you two are together. He was fully sold. She also said that she was faking the completion she would have on audio and video calls, just to please him. Nothing but an act for months. Again, the lengths she went to just please someone she barely knew. To not upset him. And for what? He didn't threaten her. He didn't have blackmail. Nothing sinister of the sort. She admitted that herself. She simply said she just didn't want to say no to him. The only reason I stuck around was the possibility of her telling the truth. Would me ending things make me a bad person if that was somehow actually what happened? What if she truly never wanted to do any of those things, and she truly never had feelings for the other guy? P.S. If it matters, I am her first real relationship, first person to be in love with. So she is very inexperienced with pretty much everything that is relevant to a romantic relationship. Perhaps with that comes some sort of ignorance or gullibility. I'm not really sure, and she's only my second real relationship, so I'm not much better, hence my eagerness to trust and believe her. But I do know one thing for sure, if she really did cheat and her excuse was all BS, then I want out. Third story. My 24F fiancé and I, 25M, are high school sweethearts. There have been a few instances in which I have been concerned about his fidelity, but ended up dropping after discussing and assuming it was my anxiety. I've never opened up to anyone about these instances except the first, which partly occurred around family. I'm going to type them down in order from first to most recent, and I would love some feedback if I've been ignoring my gut for the wrong reasons. I have this feeling I've been burying my head in the sand on this. Instance number 1 occurred the summer after we graduated high school. He went to a party to celebrate. We had just gotten back together after splitting a few months, and he was living with me and my parents due to certain circumstances. I got a text from one of his friends saying he was cheating on me at a party at around 6 p.m. I freaked out and video chatted him, which I never do. I asked him who was with him, and he showed me a girl on the opposite side of a couch. Well, call her Jenny. Him and Jenny both vehemently deny the accusations, and he takes her and leaves. He drives her to her house, but it's past her curfew and her parents won't let her in. I'm blowing him up just wanting him to come home so we can talk. It gets to midnight and I haven't heard from him. He was supposedly taking her to hotels and friends, trying to find a place for her to sleep. He brought her to my house to talk and have her stay there. She got there and was being a diva and refusing to stay. He left to take her somewhere and wasn't back till 2. He got home and after talking a while told me if we weren't together, we would have gotten together. Still gives me a gross feeling. Instance number 2 occurred a week or so after I found out I was pregnant with our son, spring 2021. I had been having the gut feeling I got the first time. So I did some digging and found his name on a dating site with his location listed in the town over where he worked. I never brought this up, because when I had planned to do it, I found out I was pregnant. Then 6 months later my dad was diagnosed with cancer, so it just left my mind until the next one. Instance number 3 occurred in late December 2022, early January of 2023. My dad had passed in November 2022, and it was still raw. My son was only half a year old. I was broken and didn't have the drive or desire to do anything. I got the gut feeling again. He was withdrawing from me and tired of taking most of my emotional and physical load. I logged into one of his emails, and I could tell it was new. It was full of notifications from random dating sites, nothing mainstream. I logged into each and every one and found no messages, just bots streaming him. I brought it up, and his first response was a frustrated "I don't know," followed by "I must have got hacked." Instance number 4 takes place shortly after, March 2023. I find a secret Twitter account of his where he only follows porn accounts. I have no problem with this part. I understand his want to watch porn and also have his privacy about it. My problem lies with this. He replied to a post of one of the stars he followed, named IKNT. "Hey little one, want to be friends?" I brought this up to him, and he wrote it off as him just wanting to make friends. Now, I'm unsure if this is an instance, but I have the same gut feeling I had in the previous instances, so I'll include it. The last year he's been working at a new place. After a while he told me he has a work wife. That makes me extremely uncomfortable and I told him, but he told me I was overreacting and didn't care. It makes me feel so sick seeing the look in his eyes when he talks about her. He brings up her ass all the time and it makes me feel sick. I'm chronically underweight and even after pregnancy I went back down, so her and I have very different bodies. Have I been just ignoring the signs? What am I supposed to do if he is? I'm completely dependent on him, and I don't know what to do about our son. Any advice would be appreciated. Fourth story. Hello fellow users. I have created this throwaway account so friends don't find this post. I 38 am, just found out my girlfriend 36 f of 5 years cheated on me. And I found out in the worst way. Just some background info on me. I've never been married, nor do I have any kids. It's not that I don't want either, life just hasn't had those plans for me yet I guess. Anyway, to the story. Friday after work, I left to go on a weekend trip with the guys to one of my buddies' cabins on the lake. Nothing too crazy. Fishing, drinking, games. Just good old fun. Usually, we do these trips about every 3 months to get time to ourselves and give our souls a break from us. I usually stay through the entire weekend and just leave from there go to work on Monday morning. However, this weekend I left my laptop in the office room and forgot to grab it. So around 4 p.m. I started to head home. Figured I'd be there by 6 and let's called her Rachel wouldn't have ate by then. So I called in an order at our favorite Italian place, stopped and picked it up and headed to the house. I walked in and everything seemed normal. I could hear Rachel laughing in the kitchen, so I figured I'd just walk in and surprise her. As I got closer, I started to overhear the conversation she was having on the phone. And in an instant, my life was shattered. I assumed she was talking to her sister or maybe one of her friends. But the conversation basically went like this. "Last night was just amazing. He was such a considerate lover. Pause. I'm telling you, I've never had anything like it. Pause. We met on Tinder and he took me out last night. By the time we made it through the door, we barely made it to the sofa. Pause. Oh God, big, like twice as big as, inserts my name. Pause. I'll definitely be taking him for a test drive again." After that line I just dropped the food on the floor. Rachel heard it and turned around. By that time I already had tears welling up in my eyes. She hung up the phone and tried to get to me, but I just pushed her off, went up to the office, grabbed my laptop and left. Rachel has been hysterically texting and calling the past 4 days and I haven't answered one. I'm staying at a motel a couple towns over, so I doubt she will be able to find me. My buddies and mom have called as Rachel has frantically been trying to locate me, but I've assured everyone I'm okay and there is nothing to worry about. My life has been ruined by a stupid phone call. I really thought this was the girl I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I'm an only child and my mom keeps reminding me she wants grandkids. I had planned on proposing this year on the 4th of July, as it would be our 6-year anniversary. I've already got the ring and my buddy and his wife already know about the plan, as they are the ones who set us up and hosted the 4th cookouts. Any advice from you on here would be appreciated. This is the first time I've dealt with infidelity in any relationship. I'm really just broken at the point. Do I contact Rachel? Should I hear her out? After that phone call, the thought of her just makes me sick to my stomach. TIA for anyone who reaches out. Hello everyone. First off, I would like to thank everyone for their kind words. I have had a very stressful week, and while I did not feel up to replying to anyone's posts, I want you all to know that I read them and your words helped me through the week. This has been a devastating event for me, and each and every one of you that commented or reached out through chat brightened my day just a tiny bit. With that said, here is the most recent update. Last Friday night, after my buddies got to the hotel, I explained what I had heard on the phone call. All three of them were stunned to say the least. They asked if I had saw any signs of this, and TBH, I really hadn't. I said I didn't know what I was going to do. I informed my one buddy that the proposal was off, and given the circumstances, he completely understood. One thing I had my buddies do when they left their houses is turn off tracking, in case their significant others were checking and getting back to Rachel. I know Rachel isn't close with one of the wives, but at this point, I didn't want to take any chances. That night, we spent the night at the hotel bar and I tailspun pretty hard. Shot after shot after shot. It wasn't pretty. My buddies were getting calls all night from the SOs asking where they were, and to their credit, they stood their ground and backed me up. Just saying that we were safe and not to worry. One asked to speak with me after assuming that where they were, but I didn't want to talk to her. She kept saying Rachel is worried and just wants me to come home. I just told my buddy to deal with it and I'll fill them in another time. I spent most of the night hitting on the bartender, which I'm not proud of, and a couple of girls who were traveling for work. The next day, I thanked them all for spending time with me and they took off back home. This week, I had one of my buddies scope out the house we were renting as it was on his way to work, and he gets to work after Rachel and I would have already left for the day. Rachel had taken Monday and Tuesday off, but went back to work on Wednesday. As soon as he informed of this, I went to the house and started packing as much stuff as I could. The house was a mess. Dishes in the sink, clothes laying everywhere. Trash was full of takeout and ordered food. It took me about 3.5 hours to get all my crap out. Before I left, I cleaned up for Rachel as a final gesture. That afternoon and evening, I got flooded by Rachel with calls and texts after she realized that I had came home and gotten all of my things. So, for now, I'm now staying at my mother's house until I can find a place of my own this fall. I spoke with the landlord, and without Rachel's signature, he won't remove me from the lease, meaning I will have to cover my half of it until October. My mom has said I can stay with her until then, at which point I will try to find a new place. I know, a 38-year-old moving back in with his mother. How amazing life has treated me. I finally contacted Rachel on Thursday, and told her we could meet up at a local bar and grill downtown Friday evening. I told her one of my buddies would be attending to make sure everything was on the up and up. She complained for a few minutes, saying she wanted me to come home and talk with her so we could move past this, but I told her if she wanted to see me, this was how it was going to be. Eventually, she agreed. So Friday night, Rachel shows up after my buddy and I had been there for about an hour. I had already ate and took a couple shots of Ciroc to calm me. We sat down and she wanted to make small talk, asking about me and blah blah blah. I cut that garbage off. I told her I had a list of questions. Immediately, her eyes welled up. I asked her how long has this been going on? She swore this was the first and only time. I told her to cut off the shit. I said there was no change we were ever getting back together. So just tell me the truth, so I can have my closure, and move on with my life. She stuck to her guns for a few minutes, but then, as most of you predicted, she came clean. Every time I went on those trips for the past 2 years, she thought I was going to cheat on her, so she was having her fun too. This set me off. I told her she was using this as an effing excuse just to sleep around. I then asked who she was talking on the phone with, but she refused to give me an answer for this. I asked if they used condoms, and she said sometimes. I said she's lucky I got an STD test, 'cause I'm clean, so she doesn't have to worry about getting one. Unless her most recent horse didn't use one. Finally, before I left, I told her about my plans. July 4th proposal. I showed her the ring, and told her that I was gonna propose at our friend's party, because that was where they introduced us. It was around here that she just started crying. She begged for another chance. I told her that I will always love her, but we are over. So yeah, she's been messaging me all day, but I'm going to block her here soon. So I'm just sitting here eating some B-dubs and drinking beer while watching the fights. Hopefully, Poirier wins, but I'm doubting it. My life is a train wreck. Anyway, thanks guys for listening. I don't know if I'll update again, as I doubt I will ever talk to that. See you next Tuesday again. Fifth story. Throwaway. I am 40. Found messages between Miso, F33, and someone else, F31, basically detailing how So wants to leave me once some investments go through and be with her co-worker who is apparently planning on leaving his wife. They love each other. Will be single for a little while to avoid suspicion. I was already suspicious on her, so she has been very guarded. Apparently his wife cannot know, or it will impact some kind of settlement. If we were at home, I would bring it up and start making next steps, but unfortunately we're a 10+ hour flight away from home. She doesn't know I know. I'm struggling to keep a straight face. What the F do I do? Update. Just to be clear, there is Miso, F33, her friend, F31, myself, M40, and company worker, M50-ish. She knew something was up and kept asking me. I ended up saying that I have asked in the past about your relationship with this guy, and you denied everything. Now is your chance to come clean. She denied. I said I have seen the messages and started quoting them, screenshots. She has gone from attacking me for going through her phone, to victimizing herself, to blaming me for her being unhappy. All very typical. So she knows I know. She is still denying, saying it's just a fantasy she has and it was just venting with her friend, it's never been real, etc. Fucking weird way to talk about an imaginary relationship. I will be sharing with the OBS once I find her details. I've messaged the F31 and told her to never contact me again. Think I'll stay on the holiday and just surf my brains out. She can do whatever. Thanks for all of the advice. Sixth story. Backstory. I 33 meters and my wife 31F have been married for 11 years in July, and together 12 total. We have 2 kids together around 10 years old. Not gonna lie, the first 3 years of our relationship were very rocky, as we were both very young and dumb. Between infidelity, secrets and lying from my spouse, which led to great resentment from me. It was at that point that we sat down and decided it was time for a change, and we both needed to grow the hell up. Yes, I gave her another chance. We had 2 kids. From that point forward things were great. Not perfect, as all relationships have spats, arguments, and whatnot. Middle years of our relationship were great. We worked on our relationship and came back even stronger. She was able to regain my trust and we worked things out. We bought a home in 2014 and opened a construction company in 2018, which COVID put under. We used each other's love languages, we flirted, sex was great. TBH always has been. Around 2018, wife asked if he could be a stay-at-home mother. I saw no issues as long as she knew life would be tight as I was opening my company. We made ends meet and had a lot of great times. My wife would even show up on days to surprise me and help me. We shared responsibilities with the kids to give her a break. She was spoiled in every way she wanted to be. My company was doing good. We had more of a home life. We had your typical suburban life. Life was good, kids in private school, newer cars, nice home, lots of date nights. Fast forward to November 2021, we attended a family wedding for my wife. That night I had a bit too much to drink and was an embarrassing goofy mess. Her reaction at the time I feel was appropriate, but in the moment it upset me, and we argued. Nothing was said that was out of bounds on either side according to my wife and the friends that were present. After that I passed out in the hotel. Next morning I offered to head home early as I was ashamed of the night before. The wife assured me she wanted me to stay and told me everything was okay. I was just having fun. I would come to find out quite soon that everything was not okay. It became very apparent over the next few days, the relationship was not what it once was. From the moment we got home I could do nothing right. Every word out of her mouth had a condescending or pissed off tone. When I asked her what was wrong I always got the same answer, I don't know. At this point, I am in full apology mode trying to figure out if this is cause of the night in question, or what I am doing so I can fix it. I try everything in the book to get her to open up to me and tell me what is wrong, but I could not get her to talk to me. I was arranging dates, coordinating surprises, all the things that she loved, to try and make her feel safe enough to talk to me again. She backed out emotionally completely at this point. About a month goes by and we are on a full tilt. By this point she is treating me more like a friend than a husband, no affection. Hardly texting cause she was too busy. Both kids are in school. Only called when she needed something. Intimacy was non-existent unless she needed to get off, and she would initiate sex that was all about her. I am a pleaser, so in the beginning I didn't mind, but then it became apparent in that moment once she got hers she was done. Not EB but pretty close. We go on vacation with my brother and his family, where she ends up telling me while she is tipsy, "I don't love you anymore, why can't we just be friends?" I am livid and confused but keep my composure. At this point I get her in bed and let her sleep it off. In the morning she is very apologetic and says she was wrong for saying the things that were said and that we are soulmates. The nice and perky wife was back, or so I thought, but that only lasted until the following day. I can't remember how long I stayed level-headed. If I had to guess I would say about 6 months of asking her to talk to me or go to therapy. All to no avail. She would say she is fine and I'm the one acting off. At this point, I behaved in a manner that I am not proud of. I began to resent her and reflect her attitude back to her as I felt I was not heard. This led to quite a bit of rough arguments and fights between us, where ugly things were said and tempers flared. We finally agreed to go to couples counseling, to which we went for about 6 weeks before Wifey decided she didn't want to anymore cause she didn't like the therapist. I respond, "Okay, let's find one that you do like," and that goes in one ear and out of the other. Not one word was said by her again about therapy. She convinces me that we need to take a trip to reconnect and fall back in love with one another, so we rented a cabin in the woods for about a week. And when we weren't seeing the sights, we were doing all the adult stuff. Anywhere you could think of. I felt 18 again. We thought that the little break was enough to help, and so we set out to try again, only for it to be short-lived. For the remainder of the year we remained quite cordial with one another, but it was apparent that we were both working through what was evolving around us. Come January I gave my wife an ultimatum that we needed to see another counselor or we would have to divorce. I felt as if I was being used. I am wholly financially responsible for the household as she is a som. I could not do this indifference, disrespect, intimacy less relationship any longer. She asked for a month to find one and I agreed. During this period my wife admitted that she has not desired me for any intimacy or romance since the vacation we had with my brother. It took her a while to find a counselor, but she has found one, and we have had about 5 sessions. Turns out the drinking was a childhood trauma that I activated, and that was what caused her to get distant, which we have settled, and now that I know I stay sober. The previous months of us fighting is what led to her not having romantic feelings. With the help of the therapist we have gotten to be closer again, but still no romantic connection on her end. It makes no sense because she says I love you, don't leave, I want a life with you, etc. At this point she tells the therapist and I that she doesn't have those feelings for me, and she doesn't know if she can get them back. She says that even if she never gets the feeling back she would want to stay married because she loves me and is happy with where we are in life. You wanna be a wife who is spoiled and doesn't have to work and gets everything you have now with none of the work and effort on your part. Not gonna happen. I'm at a fucking loss. I can't decide if I'm loony or her after 12 years. Please give me your advice. I can answer any and all questions. I know this is a lot to process and I'm sure I missed some details, but the readers of Reddit will ask their questions and I shall answer. TLDR wife, and I had a happy life, but one drunk night might have ruined it. Need advice? 8 months ago, I made the decision to file for divorce with my wife of 12 years due to the fact that she stated she was not in love with me anymore. When she told me that we tried therapy among other things, but it was evident that she either couldn't or didn't want to do the work to save our marriage. Our state requires us to live separately for 12 months due to the fact that we have kids. At the time she did not fight the divorce as we had previous issues for a few years. I was able to secure a domicile parent, primary custody, the house, and my vehicle. During the separation, she has been adamant that I don't see other people as she believes we would get back together, and says she has not seen anyone else. I don't believe that, tbh. During this time I was treated as if I don't exist, which I can understand. All of that changed on my birthday when she got me a gift and made my birthday special out of the blue. That night we slept together, and ever since then she is adamant that we try to reconcile our differences and that she is falling back in love with me. Here are a few issues that I have with this. 1. She doesn't want to really talk about what got us here in the first place. 2. When I bring up my concerns about her past betrayals and lying, she says it's not fair of me to use her entire past to judge if I want to come back. 3. When she is around the kids or we get a very monotone and dull version of her. But when she is around friends or others, they get the version of her we never get to see, bubbly and excited. 4. Currently she works from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. and is saying that when we get back together, she will probably have 2 jobs working from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. I don't know how we are supposed to reconcile or get back with one another when I am still doing all of the parental duties, while still working 6/6 myself, and not getting to spend any time other than weekends together. I am torn between giving her another chance or just walking away. Please give me advice. I'm open to all questions. TLDR. I'm seeking advice on whether to reconcile with my wife of 12 years. We separated 8 months ago due to her saying she wasn't in love with me. Despite trying therapy, she didn't seem committed to saving our marriage. We have kids and must live separately for 12 months. I secured primary custody and the house. Recently, she has shown interest in getting back together, but 1. She avoids discussing our past issues. 2. Dismisses my concerns about her past betrayals. 3. Acts differently around me and the kids compared to her friends. 4. Plans to work 2 jobs, limiting our time together.